Good evening, Mick. Oh,
Well,
good afternoon.
it's no, it's kind of morning here. It's well, afternoon. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. So good evening to you, Mr. Paul.
Yeah, so for anyone watching, this is Mick Rossi, and he was the guitarist in Slaughter the Dogs.
Still am.
Still am, yeah. And we said like we're just having a laugh about a question, and I'll give him a shout. Andy Drew Ellison from Eastern Bloc. He said to ask you, what's your most memorable, what's your most memorable crime?
It's a fucking great question, man. Um, there was many. There was many when we were young scallies. I think the most memorable one for me is there was a blackout in Manchester. Um, and it lasted days. It was just a blackout, and I don't know if it's to do with the electricity company, or it was a technical thing, but it was a fucking blackout.
I
So
think
the
it was the
most
strike,
memorable
wasn't it?
crime. Sorry,
There were strikes going on.
that's what. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm trying to go back now to my misspent youth, but my most memorable one was that blackout, throwing a brick through a guitar shop window and grabbing a Strat. Now, I play a Les Paul, but that Strat, it was a white Strat. And so that was it. That was most memorable crime because it was something tangible. It wasn't like nicking a bike or even nicking Levi's off clothing lines, because you couldn't afford them. Um, this was a tangible thing, and it was a real fucking hell, man. It was a
yeah.
Fender Strat. And so that was my most memorable crime. And I remember I buried it in the garden because I was afraid to get caught. I buried it in the garden with bin liners, bin bags. And that white Strat, I used it when we supported the Sex Pistols at the Free
Yeah,
Trade Hall gig. So you can see pictures of me with that white Strat. So
yeah.
that white Strat was my most memorable crime.
I'm probably jumping too far too soon here, but like when you mentioned the Sex Pistols, I was chatting to a friend early on. She's called Deb Z. She's like one of the original punks, and I was asking like when the punk started in Manchester. Did it start after that Sex Pistols gig, or was it going
Well,
on before?
it was kind of parallel lines. Um, because I mean, punk is a state of mind. It really is. It's an attitude. Um, and so when I started, it was always do the best that you can, be true to yourself, and don't give a fuck about anybody else.
Yeah,
Just barrel your way through. So in a way, that's a punk attitude. Never seek what's the word? Never seek. God, it's eluding me. When you ask somebody, what do you think?
validation.
Never think approval. You never seek approval. What do you
Yeah,
think of that? What do you think of that? Just fucking do it, man. And people are going to like it or they're not going to like it. So with the Pistols, it was a parallel lines because we used to go to Manchester Airport on our push bikes from Withy because there was one news agents there that would get the music papers in,
yeah.
Sounds and Melody Maker and NME, and they would come in at like 5 in the morning. So we would cycle up on the bikes and wait for those because they were like our Bible. And there was snippets of text that had been written about the Pistols in London. So we was well aware that there was something happening, and I think it was like two or three bands mentioned. So I think it was parallel lines.
Yeah. That must have been an amazing gig. That how did you get to play at that gig?
Well, we had a quite a strong local following. We just prior to that, we just rented out the Wythenshawe Forum Hall, which was unheard of for a self-promotional gig. Um, when you're just young kids, My brother Ray, my older brother, was managing the band at that time, and it was his idea to stage a gig and rent the hall. I mean, so we were, we had a strong local following, and Tony Wilson introduced us at that gig. He came on stage and introduced us,
Yeah.
which it blew my mind because I'd never seen anyone off the telly so close, you know. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, it's Tony Wilson from the telly. And
Yeah.
I always remember he had like flares on, clogs, a very cool white jacket, but like a leather handbag. And so yeah, so but the fact that we got Tony and then we got local press. So how the Pistols thing came about is they knew that we were a good local band with a good following, and you know that we'd really help fill the house, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it was Malcolm had reached out. It was either my brother had reached out to Malcolm or vice versa, and that's how we got on the bill. They got a dialogue going, and they were like, yeah, yeah, you know, we've heard of you guys and good local street rock and roll band.
Yeah.
And so we were just very fortunate, I guess, the right place at the right time. And we just come off the Forum thing. So we were in the, like the Wythenshawe Gazette, and, you know, local boys make good,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
type of stuff, you know. So
But when I've asked around, the common thing people say is that they were pretty hard. So like a lot
what?
of
Say that again, Paul?
they were pretty hard.
Who was?
You guys like
Oh,
yeah. You said yourself like Scallies and you could look after yourselves, and I suppose compared to other punk bands who may have been arty and studenty, you were like lads from the
well, we were just real because, as I said earlier, I don't think we were recording. You know, life in Manchester, growing up in the 70s, was a very uncomplicated life because it was just all about your street and your gang, you know, gang of lads that you would congregate with. I mean, so we were extremely poor. It was a tin bath and a toilet outside, you know. But I think in poverty um, there's a great purity, there's a great honesty because you have nothing else except who you are, you know, nothing to compare it by. And so we were just true to ourselves and street kids, and with that comes, you know, aggro occasionally. So
yeah
you have to get stuck in. I mean, the Pistols gig that went off that night. Paul Morley, when we, because I was trying to dress like and be like my hero, Mick Ronson, you know, who later on in life he became my friend and played on Do It Dog Style, and my mentor. But Paul Morley ran to the front of the stage with a Hawkwind t-shirt on, and Paul Morley was writing for the NME at the time, I think, and he had this long hair and he's screaming at us. And so it went off that night. Eddie Garrity, who was our roadie there, got bottled, I think, by a Pistols roadie. And so it went off in the crowd. So I jumped in.
yeah.
Just fucking do, don't you? You know?
Do you know I find fascinating? Like I don't know too much about the punk scene, um, but I've been to a few Pips reunions, and I find it fascinating that like lads would go in the Roxy, the Bowie room, and they put makeup on, and then they'd have to like wash it off when they were getting coming outside because they'd get beat up.
Isn't it? It's fucking terrible, isn't it? I mean, you know, it's get beat up by the punk people or just in general.
Just in general, it was quite violent, really, wasn't it, the 70s?
Well, it was the culture of the time, Paul. You know, it's my dad was an alcoholic, and he used to beat us all up. But that was no different than, you know, my friend up the street, same thing. So
Yeah,
it was a very oppressed time too. It was very bleak. It was almost Dickensian, you know, but it was very fucking bleak, hand to mouth. And so I think when you're living that lifestyle, there's always an underlying tension and an underlying sense of violence. And
yeah,
that's what it was. It was the culture of that time. It was a very drinking culture, you know.
yeah,
So you put booze with someone who's unhappy and has a violent streak, it's a fucking cocktail of disaster.
yeah. It's
So
probably like the height of football violence as well, wasn't it, the 70s?
yeah, there was a lot of that too, you know.
Yeah. Did you find like with you saying with your dad, did you find music was something that you could escape him?
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it basically, I mean, I was a real scally when I was a kid, um, just out up to no good, like I said earlier on. Um, and it was a violent household, especially when he got drunk, because you never know who was going to get it. Um, and I was kind of in the middle, so I got it quite a bit. Um, he knocked my front tooth out when I was a kid,
Yeah,
punched me right in the fucking mouth. I mean, I've been brought home by the cops, for nicking a bike or something. But so I remember being in the council flat and I was watching Top of the Pops, and Starman came on. And it just blew my. I actually thought I was looking at an alien because he had no eyebrows, and then when he pointed at the camera and says, "I had to phone someone, so I picked on you."
yeah.
And it was a moment, man, because I actually thought he was fucking pointing to me, like 15 million other kids did. So that was a moment where music really resonated with me, and it just blew my mind. And then I gravitated to the blonde guy on guitar, which was Mick Ronson. So that was the beginning of my uh, um, delving into music, because before that it was just football and fights and hanging out with your gang. So
Yeah.
seeing that put me on a path to discovering music, enjoying music, trying to learn how to play, and eventually that led to a way out.
How did you do lessons, or was you self-taught?
Mm-mm. I was self-taught. Couldn't really afford lessons, and I wouldn't know how to go about getting lessons. But self-taught. My mum took me to Moss Side, and there was a pawn shop there. Well, a junk shop, I guess you call them, and it was an acoustic, and it was six quid, which was a lot of money for my mum. So she bought me that guitar, and the action was like that. That's the strings against the fretboard. It was so fucking hard to play, but I learned to play on that guitar. So self-taught, um, and I started to try and learn anything I could. Mainly the most simple stuff because you felt like you'd achieved something. So I would gravitate to, Lou Reed because, and Lou Reed was the master of simplicity, and that is the genius of how to make a simple song brilliant. And
Yeah,
so Lou's were really easy to learn.
yeah.
And so I just learned self-taught, man, self-taught.
Do you know when you're saying like you had a big following in women's show? I was thinking I did a video with Steve Murray. I know him from going out local. He was in the fast cars, and they used to play a lot in youth clubs and places, and they ended up playing at the Russell Club. But a lot of their early gigs were like playing in schools and youth clubs and local pubs, and they never quite made it. But you guys did, didn't you? You got signed up to a record label,
Well,
didn't you?
we did that same circuit. It's funny you call in Labour Club circuit in between the bad Frank Sinatra and the bingo. But because that's all there was to play. So we did that. We did the local Labour clubs where I remember once, the compare would be, it was all very cheesy, as you can imagine, bad Frank Sinatra, and, all the blues, 22. And they're like, what you called again, lads? And we're like, slaughtering the dogs. They're like, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the slaughtered dog. Come on. And then, but we were still playing covers, and we had a couple of original songs. I remember one of the shows, they said, "You bloody awful. You got to," and there was two sets, right? And we said, "No, but we've saved all our best stuff to last." They said, "You bloody awful. Go on, fuck off." I think we nicked the resident drummer's cymbal that night. But yeah, so we did that circuit, and then just as we finished that circuit, that's when we did the Wythenshawe Forum, um, and that's when things started to move a little. And it was just very lucky for us because the punk rock thing was just starting to gain traction from London. Um, and it was a great time, Paul, because it was a nation moving as one. It was like a freight train. And the Pistols were at the vanguard of that. They were pushing change, and so it was just this collective movement. It was fucking great, and there was no silly politics or rivalry. It was just whether you liked the band or not, whether you could play, whether you couldn't play. It was just all like this movement for change. It was fucking great.
Yeah, yeah, it was huge. I mean, I think I would have been 7 or 8 in 1976, 77.
Right.
And, I remember punk was terrifying. It was front page news. I remember like being on holiday, my mum and dad told me there's a punk over there, like across the road. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, do you know what? I went to a Pits reunion, and then the venue wasn't very good, so I went to Gulliver's after. And then it's the first time I met Denise Lloyd and Steve Shy. Um, Steve did Shy Talk, the fanzine.
Oh, okay.
They said they were in a documentary called Brass Tracks, and they said like they were like the original punks, and I didn't think too much of it. And then I watched it the next day, and it's for anyone watching, it's Brass Tracks, punk rock 1977, and you get a real sense of the 70s, and it's the punks who are talking the most sense. They've got a
Well,
panel
yeah.
on, and you think like at the time they were demonized, but it was like Jimmy Savile was the wrong money, and
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there's ever a fucking nonce hiding in plain sight, he was it, you know.
yeah,
But it's to be expected though, Paul, because anytime there's change and the establishment can't control the change, then the narrative is like they're a threat.
yeah,
Oh, don't look at them. Cross the street. They'll do this. They'll do that.
yeah,
Um, and nothing changes. It's the same when any new band comes along that basically buck the establishment.
yeah,
Um, and so there is a narrative that is spun that is a negative one. But when you actually speak to the real people on the street, you'll find that they make more sense and they're not violent. They're just fucking enjoying the ride, and it's change, and it's giving them an identity which they didn't have, or maybe
yeah,
they were searching for who I am. How do I fit into this puzzle called life?
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. It changed a lot of stuff, didn't it, punk? Um,
Well, it did. But then if you go back a little, Iggy Pop was like doing it before like Pistols were doing it.
yeah,
Iggy was dancing to his own beat, and the Dolls.
yeah,
And if you go way, way back, fucking Woody Guthrie.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just people who have a voice and decide not to get on the path of what people expect you to be on.
yeah,
And that's the beauty of a having three free thinking individual. It really is.
You
Keep your
got to
mind
meet
free.
Mick Ronson, didn't you?
Excuse me.
You got to meet Mick Ronson, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I got to meet Mick, and we became friends, and yeah, I hold a dear place in my heart for that man. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
How did you get to meet him?
It's I've told this story before, but I'll tell you, I really don't mind saying it because it puts a big smile on my face. Is Mick came around? I was too young to see Bowie, and then Mick came round and was doing his Slaughter on 10th Avenue tour, and it was the first time he was going out as a solo artist. And so I get tickets for Manchester Free Trade Hall, and I think it was like either 50p or 90, but you're like 50 fucking p for Mick Ronson. So I go with a couple of buddies. He comes on, we rush the stage, go like this, run out, run out. And he goes like that. And I turned to my mates, and we're all saying, he pointed at me. No, he pointed at me. And so we wait outside to try and get a glimpse or an autograph out the back, outside the free trade hall at the back. And this is the time when Mick was a superstar. And so there was a coach, and he was ushered onto the coach with the minders on the coach. The coach drives off. It's like, fuck. Didn't even get a glimpse of him. And that's when he was still playing with the Spiders. He was still playing with Garson and Trevor Bolder.
Yeah,
And so we also had tickets for Sheffield. So we got the coach to Sheffield. I think it was 2 days later. We got the coach to Sheffield, and we couldn't afford a hotel. and we were very young, so we were going to sleep on the floor at the coach station because the next coach was like 8 a.m. in the morning, you know. So to go to the gig, Ronno comes on stage. We rush the stage. Ronno goes like this. It was me. It was me. No, it wasn't. It was me. We wait outside at the back of the city hall, Sheffield. It starts to rain. He's ushered on the coach, and off he goes. But this time, I keep running. Me and a buddy, we're running, and all the fans drop off. And there's 1 block, 2 blocks. Keep running, keep running. There's no traffic on the road. It was really strange. Anyway, it stopped at a traffic light after about 2 blocks in, and the doors went psh, and Mick just went, "Come on if you're coming."
Wow.
So I get on the
How
coach,
old was you then?
13, 14.
Wow.
I get on the coach and I'm just fucking staring at him.
Yeah.
I'm because he's larger than life for me, you know. And he goes, "I saw you in Manchester." So,
Wow.
and then he says, "It's the end of the tour. We're having a party at the hotel. You're invited." So we get into this reception area, and all like the main man crew were there. Used to look after Lou Reed and Bowie, same management. The Spiders are there, and there's food going around. I'm like nicking the food because I didn't know it was free. Never been in a hotel, you know,
Yeah.
because I was fucking starving. And Mick sees the sleeping bags. You know, I had it rolled up, and he goes, "What's the sleeping bag for?" And I says, innocently, I says, "We're sleeping on the coach station floor because the coach doesn't leave till at 8 a.m." And he disappeared, and he came back with a hotel key, a room, and he booked me a room. And here's how naive I was. I'd never been in a hotel. In the morning, I made the bed because I thought it would make a good impression on him. I didn't know people came in and did that. I
Yeah.
had no idea. And in the morning, I told him I was a guitar player, um, and that he was my hero. And he gave me his phone number. And
Wow.
and we stayed in contact. And then when I got a first Les Paul, I called him. And then when I got a record deal, I called him. And then when we got to do it dog style, I called him, and and I don't know how it came out, but I just was like, "Hey, Mick, I got a record deal. You should play on the record." I mean, and he went, "All right." I mean,
You just said, yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, he was amazing, man, an incredible human being.
yeah,
Um, and what I learned from him, Paul, apart from his genius as a player, um, and his tone and his simplicity, I learned that he was such a humble man, and to give time to me, this little kid from Withenshaw, it resonated with me in a massive way.
yeah.
Here was my hero giving me time, and he was so generous in spirit and love. So amazing.
Do you know, like, I'm just thinking, listening to that, pardon me, I did a video with Dermo from Northside, and
Okay.
he was saying that we were all equal on the scene. And I find I love that sometimes when you know, like a scene like punk or acid house, or then the bands are, you're all on the same level, aren't you? There's no,
Well, I remember seeing an interview once with Adam Faith. Adam Faith, I don't know if you know who he is. He was a
yeah,
singer back in the 60s and a great actor. Um, and the last time I saw him, he did a play out here in Los Angeles many years ago, and he played Alfie. It was the play Alfie Michael Caine made famous, and he was brilliant. But Adam Faith once says, he goes, "Everybody bleeds, everybody pisses, and everybody has to go to the toilet, and everybody cries."
yeah, yeah. I love that. I
And
mean,
so when you meet someone who has iconic status, it's like Ian.
yeah.
Ian's an absolute legend. He's got iconic status, but he's a dude. He's fucking cool, you know.
So
Uh,
this is how this interview came about, really, because I saw Ian Browning and Kathy last Friday, and we got talking to him, and he's just like a music fan. So there was no ego there. and he said like, you want to do Mick Rossi, um, and then I told him that we'd just done a video on Pips, and he was dead
Mm.
interested. And what I got from him was that just someone who loves the music and
Because
genuinely interested.
yeah, because he's a real guy, you know. He's a real guy, no airs and graces. As I said, he's a fucking icon, man.
Yeah,
Um, but it's you when you meet somebody like that and they're just very fucking cool, giving of time and spirit, and there's a normality to their lives, it just makes you love them even more.
yeah,
And that's a
yeah,
great thing. And that's what happened with me and Mick, you know.
yeah. When did you move to America?
Oh God, 20, 25 years ago. 20, yeah.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in a place called West Hollywood. I
Yeah.
don't know if, do you know the States, Paul? Do you know
No,
LA?
but I might go. I might do an interview with someone. It's on my bucket list to go to New York.
Oh,
So
okay.
I might go to New York and interview someone. Uh,
Oasis are playing New York tonight, actually.
are there? Are you
Yeah,
going?
yeah.
It's
Excuse
too
me?
far. Have you seen Oasis play?
Oh yeah, I fucking love them.
Yeah,
I love them, you know.
yeah,
Uh, I don't think any other band has captured the Mancunian spirit and swagger
yeah,
more than Oasis. And they're, you know, again, iconic status. They're bigger now than they've ever been. And
yeah.
yet, fucking normal guys. Brilliant, you know.
I was out in Manchester in the daytime a few weeks ago, and the atmosphere was brilliant. And I mean, I purposely don't talk about politics on my channel or on my social media, and but Glastonbury was all politics, wasn't it? And then
Yeah, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, yeah.
look at what Oasis have done. It's just pure rock and roll. Everyone's had a good time, and they brought everyone
Well,
together, haven't they?
this, but what did it tell you? It tells you that music has the capacity to override politics, hatred, uh, division. It has the capacity to bring people together,
Yeah,
unify everybody through the spirit and soul of rock and roll.
yeah,
And it's being delivered by two brilliant, well, the whole band's brilliant, but Noel and Liam, you know, they're just genuine fucking what you see is what you get. And that's the power of them and music in general. Music has the capacity, a song can take you back to a time and place, and
yeah,
you can relive a memory, good or bad. But
yeah,
it's a wonderful thing. So just seeing the certainly the Manchester shows that Oasis did, and obviously it resonates more because it's Mancunian, we're on Mancunian soil, you know.
yeah,
Um, and you just look at this bringing generations together.
yeah,
Fucking brilliant, man. That's the power of music, and people forget about that. You know,
yeah.
powerful, powerful tool is music.
And you must be really proud of your role in it all because you are like you've done a lot of people who are into punk. It's their favorite track, and
Which one?
Crank Up the
Oh, cranked up really high.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and you were there in the Eye of the Storm, weren't you? In punk, and your band has a lot of
Yeah,
cover.
we were just fortunate, you know, the right place at the right time, and cranked up really high. Uh, you know, we didn't know what we were doing, to be honest with you, man. It's all Martin Hannett, you know. I mean, it's Tosh Ryan, who founded Rabid Records. Um, he just said, "Do you want to make a record?" We're like, "Fucking yeah!"
Yeah,
And we got, I think we got like 25 quid each for it. I thought it was fucking loaded, you know.
yeah,
But so we go in a little studio, and you know, I had an amp and just I don't know what I was doing. I just turned everything up.
yeah,
And Martin Hannett says, "Go in there, play this." You know, obviously play the song, but he was the one who was responsible for the sonics of the song.
yeah,
We just played what we knew, and he captured that. I think the hardest thing for a record producer to do is to capture personality and character on a track.
yeah,
And I think when you get that, you have something really, really magical. And if you
yeah,
look back through history, all the great, great music, um, you know, Change is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke, which which was a protest song, And Dylan wrote "Blowing in the Wind" because Sam Cooke had written Change is Gonna Come." But you
Yeah.
listen to "Change is Gonna Come," and he was a genius anyway, but he's singing from his very core. So
Yeah.
you capture something. And I think it's any artist, if you get personality on a track, it'll resonate because
Yeah.
there's an honesty in there. And Martin Hannett did that with us. So, it's all fucking kudos to Martin, really. We didn't know what we were fucking doing. But I'm very grateful because the song, is still very much cited today as a good song being in like the top 100 songs of that period.
Yeah. Did you do acting? Someone told me you did acting for a while in America.
I'm still doing it. I've done three movies.
Have you?
Uh, First one went to Cannes as an actor and a writer.
Yeah.
Uh, I was always fascinated by acting, and I was too shy to say because I saw Al Pacino do a movie called Panic in Needle Park, where he played a junkie. There was a heroin shortage in New York in the 70s. It was so raw and so real. I was like, oh man. And obviously, being from the streets in Wythenshawe, you know that world, you know that seedy street life.
Yeah.
And so, I was always too shy and embarrassed to say I wanted to be an actor. It certainly tried out in Wythenshawe to be like, fucking actor. Why don't you be a drug dealer like everyone else? So, um, but yeah, Keith Allen from he was in the comic strip years ago. He gave me my first job. Um,
Oh wow.
in England. I played
Yeah.
a projection room operator um, called Trevor in a movie that he was directing with Bob Peck and Amanda Donahue.
Yeah.
Um, and I was so fucking nervous. I'd been up all night speeding like an idiot. So and I only had one line, and my line was Bob Peck says, "Can you run it now, Trevor?" And I said, "Sure thing, Gov." So they went action, and he said his line went, "Sure thing, Gov." Because I was speeding, and in my mind, I thought it was fucking brilliant. Anyway, so Keith had to say, calm the fuck down. But yeah, when I got out here, uh, I started to write scripts, and eventually I got one made because I changed the approach, and I thought I'm going to write a script with my writing partner. I'll be in it, he'll direct it, and we'll do it punk rock style.
Yeah.
But I managed to get like major actors like Val Kilmer, Gabriel Byrne,
Wow.
Patsy Kensit, Joanne
Yeah.
Wally,
Yeah.
great, Bruno Kirby, Antti LaPaglia, Steve Jones was in the first, but that one did very well, and
What was the film?
it's called Played,
Yeah.
as in being played.
Yeah.
That got in the Cannes Film Festival, out of competition, but it was still there, and I went to that. And then the second one that allowed us to do a second one, which I co-wrote and was in, called 222, and that had Gabriel Byrne and Val Kilmer too, which was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then from there we did the last one was called A Kiss and a Promise, and they in the indie world they've done moderately well.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. Yeah, I like the process. I mean, when I got out here, I would audition, and it would just be like for drug dealer number one, and you'd go in, and they go, "Okay, action," and you go, "Put the coke on the table," and they go, "Thank you very much. We'll let you know." I'm like, "I can do it again." They're like, "No, it's okay." So, so it was really hard to get a job, and so then I thought, you know what, let's do a movie punk rock style and the first one there was no permits. We broke every rule under the sun, and we shot it in LA and London. So um, I'm trying to set up the next one right now. I'm very close. It's a changing game though now, as is the music industry. But yeah, close to setting the next one up, and then I have a TV show which I've written, which is set in Manchester, present day, a crime
Yeah.
drama. So I'm in the
Yeah.
process of but it's a long road, man. It's a long,
Yeah.
long road. But yeah, so yeah, did a bit of that, doing a bit of that, and still cranking out the Les Paul.
So I feel like we're coming to the end now. So I always like, I'm going to put you on the spot now. I should have
Go on.
told you I'd do this, but I always get people to pick a track that's memorable to them.
Well, I've already said the track because it changed my life. Starman.
Yeah,
I mean, I could give you millions of tracks,
yeah,
but Starman, I think, because it set me on a path of change for me, you know.
yeah,
Um, plus, it's a fucking classic track too,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And Ronno's guitar playing on that, the economics of what he did, um, it's just incredible. And that little melody, bow, 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 bow. And then when those strings come in, which was all Mick, Mick did all the string arrangements because he
Yeah.
was a classically trained pianist. So yeah, it's Starman.
So
Starman for me,
thanks
Mr.
so
Phil.
much. I'll just stop recording now. There we go.